Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now, my legacy investors. I hope you are absolutely amazing. So, in terms of the timeline, when I first pitched this product, I said by the end of 2024, the AI models will be built and tested, and then by the end of 2025 the platform will be built, and 2026 is when it starts automating. I'm now including you in on the process of starting the automation, and by including you, what I mean is speak now or forever hold your peace, as if there are any objections of this to move forward to the automation testing, then please let me know. So to get your kind of buy-in to move forward, this is going to be a practical video where we actually test the turning points, and then I will show you why I think we're at a stage where we can offset this to automation. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just do some live back testing with you. Starting with the Bitcoin 8 minutes. Feel free to fast forward or speed up the video using the settings at the bottom of the YouTube settings. But I want to include you because the next phase is now wiring it all together. Okay, so let's start off with the 8-minute Bitcoin and forecasting the first one, and then I'm going to show you that, or the reason why I feel that we can move forward. Okay, so this is the first forecast, and as you already know by now, the first thing you do is you look at the number at the label at the bottom, make sure it coincides, and then you just match it up. So turning point 5 matches with turning point 5, and then what's anticipated to transpire is that there will be a movement along this area. Now what I've done is I've just so you know, I've spent this entire week updating the latest AI model to include Gann's work, the law of vibration, the cardinal and ordinal crosses based on price, and retrained our smartest AI model to factor that all in. Reason being is because on different time frames it doesn't necessarily have the visibility of what's happening above, but if all things in the universe are mathematically based, in other words, frequency, vibration, and energy can all be represented in numbers, then there is a certain comfort that the Gann law of vibration, as well as his studies, will be able to give us the bandwidth of what the price is seeing, for example, over here. So a lot of other traders, they use previous highs and lows to set their targets. That's because they've haphazardly, I suppose, or stumbled upon the law of vibration. Alright, so if you can see now, these lines light up, and you look at the side of the screen and look at the price action that's happened all along here, this consolidation, it's all within that bandwidth, and this bandwidth was provided to me by the price of Bitcoin, Bitcoin's nodal points, and of course the location of where I'll put the center of this was provided by our AI output. Okay, so very few people on the planet will have access to this level of information. They may have parts of it, but not the source of where it originates from. They just kind of got lucky with their channels and their pitchforks and whatever. So why does that matter? Well, I've used this enhancement to train the latest AI model. I spent all week working really late nights and starting from before the sun come up, and 8-hour sessions at a time in my office chair to get this rolled out without interruption, and I've managed to do so. Alright, so all of that is me saying that it's as good as it's ever going to get for now. And this is why I'm asking indirectly for your permission to stop trying to add to what we have and now take what we have as good enough and put this into automation. Now, I haven't tried all of the time frames just yet, so I haven't even tried this just yet. I'd prefer for the experience to be transparent and for you to be a part of what is unraveling here, so that you can either say, no, it's not ready for the next phase, keep on building, or let's get the next phase rolling. Okay, so how it's going to work in terms of the automation is, of course, this is what comes out of the forecast. All right, this is the input, this is the output. So the output is where we're going to base our trades upon. All right, and as you already already aware of, rather, the first high matches to the first high, and that's how it locks in, and then the information that follows is what the market's going to do next. All right, so here H1, so high 1 links to turning point 5, because that's the latest bit of data that went on to the input, and then that will automatically be what the automation feeds off of. I hope that's clearer, and I hope that makes sense. Okay, so in this instance, the automation would have opened up a low position and calculated the time distance between 4:20 in the morning, this is New York, everything is standardized to New York, and then closing that short position at 6:33. Then at L1, open up a long position, and then at 6:33, calculate the difference to 9:45, and keep that long position open for that duration of time. You can already see that the candles are starting to pick up there. Okay, so that's how, I love how accurate this is. Anyway, so that's how the automation will work. It will line up the high in relation to where it is. Okay, so 5 is a high, so the high matches to the high. Write it down, close the position, flip it, and then write it up. Okay, there are more things I want to talk about, but I want you to get the basics in first. Alright, so if we go back one to turning point 4, you'll notice that the models are producing predictions relatively quickly these days in comparison to how long it took. Okay, so we'll have to see, I mean, from 5 to here, again, that's the information that the input sees up to 5. So the fact that it would have taken us short from 5 to there, I'll consider a win. Whether or not it goes back up again, it seems to be curling to the upside there. And also with regards to the bandwidth that I showed you earlier, it's quite likely that it's going to go back up. I'd say 5 was a win, and there's a candle trying to climb. So let's take a look at 4. Okay, so turning point 4 will be down here. So the question is, would we have made a profit here? Okay, so 4 lines up, price went up, the AI said it will close there. Yeah, so from a low to the high. Now, because of the hours in which it is in New York right now, this happened during 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. So price didn't make it up there, but from a time aspect, which is how the auto trader will be governed, it opened up a long and then closed the long. That would have been a profit. Okay, so that's 2 wins back to back. Let's continue. Notice how the price is climbing exactly where the AI said it would. Alright, so I'm going to move a little faster now. Turning point 3 is a high. That's the input that it got. Line up turning point 3. And let's see what happened here. Okay. So from a time aspect, so again, it's working on time. The architecture for the automated trading isn't working on price. It's working on the time difference between here. So we go short from highs. It'll be 9:53. Oopsie, it's the wrong one. And then close the short. Well, actually, over here it's 2:27. Okay, so we would have wrote it from around there to there. That's a profit. It's not perfect. It's not optimal. All things considered, it's profits, right? So that's win 1, win 2, and win 3. And if we stuck to this and we just lowered it and lined that low up to this low just out of interest, it would have given us a rough estimate of what is going to happen next. Okay, this is the 8-minute chart, bearing in mind. And this would work a lot cleaner on the higher time frames, but we're dealing with humans and order books, and things are messy on a lower level. It is what it is, but that's not too bad. Which is kind of irrelevant, because the point being is that this short would have been profitable. Okay, and then close. Now let's go back again. Alright, so now we're going a bit faster. Turning point 2. Turning point 2 is a low. That's the latest bit of information. Turning point 2 is a low. So we take the first low and then we line it up. Okay, first low as in L1, so there's L1 over there. E is for entry, you can move this around, just by the way. And unfortunately there was a Binance hiccup, and the price data didn't populate, so you can't really see whether or not it did as suggested over here. But my point being is that that's not L1, so L1's labeled over here, so low meets low, and then we've got the climb over there. Okay, so should we have opened up a position over here, that's another profit. It's a bull trade. Interestingly enough, it actually finishes off where this finishes off. So that's an absolute massive win. I mean, this little hump happened a little bit later than the suggested, but I mean, you can't imagine a human being able to sketch out with this level of accuracy what price is going to do next, right? And again and again and again. The only thing that the AI sees are these inputted numbers over here. Alright, next prediction. What is that? That's 1, 2, 3. This is a nice run up there. That's 4 for 4. Okay. In terms of accuracy, that's 100% accuracy. Try have anyone else in the world say anything close to that without being a scam. Okay. So over here again, we know the process. We're working with the high, turning point 1. Turning point 1 is a high. We look for H1, high 1. Okay, we ignore entry because that's movable. H1 is not. That's just the high, and that's the next low. So the high matches the high, and then look at that. Alright. So from there, time based, this will be 11:53 yesterday around about lunchtime in New York. It stays open until 3 o'clock. And I suppose if you wanted to, and this is something I'm going to bring up later on, it could have just automatically just worked off of this one and climbed up over there. Okay, let's do another one. Alright, so that's 100% strike rate so far. And please double check my, this is not photoshopped, this is not a spoof demonstration. This is all live market data. And you've got the platform in your hands as well, so I can't fabricate this stuff, right? If you put these values in, the same output will happen as it has for me. None of this is bullshit. Okay, so turning point 10, turning point 10. Okay, needless to say, I mean, look at the height even. Anyway, so it catches the peak more or less, right? So it opens up, goes to the top, and then comes back down and goes over here. So the kind of engineering challenges that I've got now is that it here has identified L1 as all the way here. To be fair, even with that mistake, if it took L1 and kept the time of the trade open, alright, so that's L1, to over here, it would have caught that leg in any case. But the engineering problem now is that it should have picked it up at the beginning of this forecast, not out there. But in terms of that, we would have been fine in any case, because it looks at time open. It doesn't look at price levels. And then obviously it sets a stop loss automatically. So look at that. Alright, let's move on to turning point 9. Oopsie. Okay, 20.9 is incoming. Okay, it's 9 labeled. Okay, what are we looking for here, guys? High matches the high. Alright, so let's drag it. So far, if you do agree with me, we've got 100% strike rate. Okay, this might be the one that breaks. Okay, turning point 9. Alright, so again, actually this is fine. Yeah, reason being, it finds the first high because turning point 9, oopsie, is a high, and then then it'll close at the low. Right, so it takes the time difference between high and the low, and even though it didn't get the what's the word I'm looking for, liquidity, volatility, or whatever the case may be, correct. I mean, we could exaggerate it and say it did, which is an impossible game to get right, by the way, because of the different screen sizes, the X and Y relationship to different iPads, monitors, laptops. So the height is tough to get, and that's why I'm working on the time. Time is pretty universal, right? So so what I'm trying to show you here is that the entry and the exit would have been spot on. Okay, let's do one more. Alright, so that's 100% strike rate all the way through on the Bitcoin 8 minute. Okay, so again, what we're looking at now, 8 is the low. I can just bring this back down to where it was. Oh, it was 0.9. And there we have it. Okay, low to the high. There it is. Low to the high. 8 is the low. Rides it up to the high. Look where the high stops. Okay, so on my exact screen, I'm using on the Bitcoin 8 minute. I mean, the thing is, this can change back and forth. But it's at 92 bars and 0.9 in height, just for these, just out of interest, in case it works on your screen as well. So yeah, I mean, it's neat. Did we do 8 already? Is this 8? Yeah. Okay, so guys, you've seen it's a 100% strike rate. The challenges that we face are technical. I won't get into that now. It's got to do with confirmed turning points. How does if it's fully automated, how does the machine know that that's not the recent high, that that's not the 20.5? And that's where I've been wanting to train a updated model that refines the already pretty decent market structure tool, but unfortunately it doesn't necessarily get to see it better than the human eye. So this is where it wanted turning to 0.2 to be, this is where it wanted turning 0.3 to be, and such. So that unfortunately is under development and something that I was hoping to refine, but instead of that, I'm going to automate things as they are, as such, and just let the orders go through into the exchange and then for the time being, just set the highs and the lows myself, because I just don't have the emotional stability to manually trade, because of all the things that I made mention to in the past. So that hopefully has put a smile on your face a bit. That level of accuracy in terms of forecasting should not be possible. We can try this out on the 2 minute and the 30-second and the 32 minutes as well, but we just did one chart for the time being, and we got 100% strike rate. So now the engineering part comes in, trying to get the highs and the lows as the actual highs and the lows, and then a few other connection points so that they magnetize to the right high and the low, and how to know when a forecast is done and to start the next forecast automatically. So that's what's coming up. Alright guys, have a brilliant weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Ciao for now.